Hi all, it's PJ and welcome to Bernina Quick Tips. I have my machine set for a standard 3-thread overlock wide. That's stitch number 3. I'm gonna go around the edge of, this is my faux little tea towel here, and I'm gonna finish off all of the edges and then go straight into my Serger crochet. I have a 30 weight sulky in my needle. My needle is a 90-14 top stitch. In my upper and lower loopers, I have a 12 weight sulky. Those are heavier weight threads than your standard Serger cone. It will give the Serger crochet a bit more oomph. I'm starting on the long end. I am gonna go down, around, and then around again. And then I'm gonna flip and start my Serger crochet. And I have this set at my widest, which is the 9mm. That's one of the nice advantages on a Bernina, is that you get a really nice wide width on here. I also found that with this thread, I lowered my upper looper tension to a 3.0. And you can do this with your knife engaged. We'll turn it off later. So here's my knife engaged, and I'm just sewing along the edge. You should always hold a little bit of tension on your tails when you start stitching on a Bernina. I'm going to turn my corners. I find that if you take one stitch off and then lift your presser foot, release some slack, pull gently back, turn your corner. You want to position this so your needle is starting just on your fabric. And I'm gently going to pull up the slack and then start stitching gently. You're going to do that for the other two corners. When you get back to where you started, I'm just going to hold my tail and I'm going to let the knife cut that. And I'm going to go all the way to the end. And I'm going to do this just like I'm turning this corner. Stop with your needle up, release some slack, gently pull back. Now, instead of turning the corner, I'm just going to flip this over. So this is going to be the start of our Serger crochet. At this stage, I'm going to lock my knife. When I come back this time, I want to stitch over this same thing again. So we're going to pull up the slack and then to stitch back down this side. You have marks on your foot right here where your needles are. You can use that to help you align. And when we start the Serger crochet, we'll be using that a lot. So this is just stitching back over that initial stitch. This just gives it a nice sturdy base. At this end, similar to turning the corner, I'm going to stop at the corner, raise my presser foot, release some slack, gently pull back, and I'm going to turn this over. Now, this is the start of our Serger crochet. I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3.0, and I want my left needle to just hit this edge. So I'm going to place the notch from my right needle at the edge of this. And I want to pull up the slack from my turn. Now when I start stitching, I just want my needle to catch this edge. And your loops will be falling off the side. And you can use the nick here to help you align. And I haven't changed my tension settings at all. I've left my upper looper at 3. For the 12 weight thread, I have found that this works fine. If you're using different weight threads, you may have to adjust. I'm at my end, so lifting up, releasing some slack. I'm going to turn, and then I'm just going to go back and forth. If you were doing this in the round, you would literally just keep going around and around and around, and you would come off each edge by about the width of the needles to just catch this edge. So you can see here how I have all these loops. That's the Serger crochet. So back up to here again, I'm going to gently pull up my slack, and I'm going to just start stitching at the edge. I'm going to do a couple of rows at the stitch length of 3.0, and then I'm going to move it down to 2 and then down to 1.5, and that will create the ruffle. You can also do it just flat. The trick here is to just go slow. On this next row, I'm going to change my stitch length down to 2, and you'll see that that will add more stitches and it will start to ruffle. On this row, you probably won't see any difference in the ruffling. It's the next row that it will show up, because this row, I'm hoping you can see here. Can you see how there's definitely more stitches in here than here? So you can see here there's a little more ruffle going on in here, and that's how you create that ruffled edge. This is where you may need to start lifting more to make sure that you're catching all of your edges and that it's sitting in there flat. The freehand system comes in quite handy for this, because I can use both of my hands while I'm using my freehand system to raise and lower my presser foot. So you can see the ruffling starting here. So I would do 2 or 3 rows at the 2, and then the lowest I would go is to 1.5. So after a couple rows of this, you could go to 1.5. Just so that you can see what happens, I'm going to take this down to 1.5 now. I'm going to turn my corner. Pull up the slack. I'm just barely on there. If you fall completely off of your loops, just lift up the presser foot and move your needle back into where the loops are and keep going. You can fix that later. So you can see that's really starting to ruffle. All right, one more row. You can do obviously as many rows as you want, but for this little demo, I'm just going to do one more. You can see as you get more stitches in there, you'll have to readjust more often. Can you see how I'm having to turn to get the very edge of this? Because it's kind of kicking out because it's so dense. When you get to the end, I'm going to change my stitch length up to the longest, and now I'm just going to stitch this off. And again, keep a little bit of tension on that as you're stitching off. Then I'm just going to cut this with a tail, and we'll weave that tail in later. There's your Serger crochet. If you'd like to follow along, this project is available for purchase at the Montevilla Sewing Center's Teachable site. The project includes the full video, written instructions, and more. You can purchase the projects by the month or join the club and save. To join the club, contact the main store. If you'd like to view the video preview for this project, go to my YouTube channel, A PJ Project, go to the playlist, choose the BabyLock Bernina Serger Club, and then choose the project.